So today we're going to talk about something a little bit difficult, actually, and it came out of a conversation that myself and Ian had over the weekend. I was trawling through Twitter, and we have a number of people on our Essentia 2 Twitter profile. As I was flicking through of the people who followed us, and I could see obviously what they were commenting on and things, one particular medium was really going to town, certainly for the last month at least, about climate change. Now, to me, I believe climate change is happening. 97% of all scientists believe it's happening, according to NASA. But this gentleman who was a medium was really saying it was a hoax, it was a fake. He then attacked Greta Thunberg. Whatever you think about Greta Thunberg, she is raising awareness. But if you disagree with her, then that's fine. You know, you kind of, I disagree with a lot of people, but I don't personally attack them. But then he personally attacked how she looked, her autism or Asperger's, I believe, and also attacked how she physically looked as well. And it made me think, well, hang on, how can a medium, somebody who is enlightened or somebody who is in touch with spirit, who is in touch with the consciousness, how can they be basically such
Yeah.
I mean, myself and Ian, we both worked with people who are mediums, who've had very, very strange or unusual beliefs. And I'm talking way beyond obviously believing that they're communicating with the dead, because myself and Ian believe that, but also had beliefs that are detrimental to other people as well. And also we all know mediums who have been fakers or have actually used what they do as a way of defrauding people. So our question today is how can mediums be enlightened, or how can we look at them as they are, as these people with communication and consciousness, but yet still have the actions of human fallibility, I believe. I mean, what's your thoughts about this, Ian?
I was thinking when I was listening to your lovely words there, you know, your sentiments, playing a little bit of devil's advocate, you know, when it comes over to mediumship, are we seen as love and light? You know, as I, you know, laughingly, not in a detrimental way, sort of smile, you know, the love and light brigade, where people have thought mediums they don't drink alcohol, they don't swear, they don't break wind, they don't do this, they don't do that. And there's a misconception, you know, about what mediums should be doing. And I think this is why, one of the reasons why we're doing the podcast, in all honesty. You know, we are a spirit within a physical body interacting with the physical world. So, of course, whilst we need to have that humanity experiences, I still feel here, when you are connected to the link up towards spirit, then your natural conscience, as well as spirit guiding you and talking to you, then they often sort of make, you know, sort of don't make you, but they sort of flag it up as in, why did you do that? Don't you think that person is feeling a little bit down because you did this, this and this? And generally speaking, mediums tend to, and I say generally mediums because, as Martin was saying, you know, I have worked with some people who seem to me to be, without going too much off the point, they create a situation that then only they are able to fix. You know, it's almost like I'm in charge. I want to be in control and abuse their sort of station in life, their chosen station. There's a little bit of a mixed bag, you know, between this perception of love and light and the I'm in charge and sort of saying one thing. And we've all seen in the news there was
sorry to interrupt you.
No,
let's scale this down and say, right, okay, there's a number of mediums out there at the moment who are tweeting and retweeting or talking to people about right-wing fascist agendas that can be seen as racist, can be seen as that are racist. They're not can be seen as, they are racist. They are. Britain and America are going through the similar sort of issues in that, and a lot of these mediums are getting involved in this. And what my question really is, so okay, these people are communicating with spirit, are doing this. And one thing that I've noticed from spirit, I suppose I'm more leaning on the love and light brigade, but how I feel is that I have been able to contact the consciousness. I'm able to relay some amazing information, like yourself, Ian, to people It's a beautiful thing. It's one that is surrounded by love. I mean, I don't ever get spirit come through and say, can you tell so-and-so that she's an absolute, you know what, you know? It's always that, can you tell her that I love her? Can you tell her that we're all here, that we all in love? And I don't understand. I think for me, it's this, you know, how can it change from one of love to that person distributing hate or distributing fear? And I must come down on a number of things. And I think number one is what you've just mentioned about having a certain amount of control. And that comes down to the ego. So that medium must have a certain amount of ego that they feel that they can expound their personal knowledge or thoughts, personal thoughts on a particular subject. I think that takes them outside remit of them being a medium. And I think it's hard for people out there to understand that a medium that they may follow is actually having these beliefs. And it's because they're outside mediumship when they're having those beliefs. And as you say, they're being human. We've had similar falls with gurus and people like that, where they show this human side that isn't very nice compared to what we expect them to be. And I think, as I say, my question is really, how is spirit reacting to the fact that they're working with somebody who is showing hatred and why aren't they saying, right, okay, we're not working with them no more?
It isn't just a case of, the thoughts that are coming to me there, whilst we can mention free will, then I do feel here, taking it maybe into a deeper philosophical type of thing, is it in that person's pathway to experience certain things, though that I don't feel is the answer here, but it is one that it is a sort of statement that I do feel needs to be put out there.
I think also, Ian, sorry again, I think you're right. I think also as well is maybe it's a lesson that they've not learned. Maybe the fact that this is something that they should be shedding in this life and they've not learned it. So you're right in what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, I do feel, like I say, it comes down to ego. It comes down to situations maybe in their youth or what has happened. I think it's fair to say that most mediums are very, very sensitive. I know that that's an obvious statement. There's the natural ability that is inherited through the genetic gene pool of families that goes down generations of generations. So I do feel it is a very natural thing that everybody is capable of. But when it comes down to sensitivities, for instance, I was bullied like buggery in school. I started secondary school, 11 years of age. I was only 4'2". I had my growth spurt. I'm now 5'2". As I say, 5 foot in a five packet. But I was bullied a hell of a lot. So I sort of went inwards. I was a little bit introverted. I had a very, very bad stutter, which I still have at times, and that has made me more sensitive and more sort of not wanting to cause hurt to people. So maybe somebody undergoing hurt, or where they've had their control and choices taken away from them, whether it's a bad parenting, whether it's from their social group, and then maybe within their sort of psyche they are wanting to sort of lash out. I don't say, oh yes, they are right to do so. They should learn from it and not want people to undergo or to have anything that is detrimental to them, very, very hurtful, just because it makes them feel better, perhaps, So I just feel
I think you're right. What you're saying here it is people lashing out, and also as well is I mean, where I come from in Sheffield, there was a lot of gangs, and there was also a lot of racism in the area, right wing, kind of sections. There was Combat 18, and there was just quite a few. There was a lot of people when I was a child. There was a lot of children in their teenagers who were seeing these gangs and kind of picking what they were going to do. And it was one of those things that if you're born into this and you see all of this, it's very easy to just follow the crowd. It's easier to follow the crowd than to buck the trend and do something else. And that's something that myself and my brothers all did. We bucked the trend and we moved away from all of that, physically as well as mentally.
Yeah.
What I would say is I think often with these mediums, they are human. They are expressing things, and you've got to express why. I think, why are they doing this? And I think it is because they are not stepping into the spiritual more and looking at the bigger picture. Yeah. I think they're being very earthly in that they're saying they're looking at this. They've got a conspiracy that the climate's not changing and it's all nonsense. You've then got to ask the reasons why. Is it fear? Is it pure hatred towards particular aspects? But the bigger thing is what I would say is probably a lack of communication with spirit as much as anything, because with any solution at all, it takes people to come together and to talk and to communicate with each other so that things can be found. Solutions can be found.
Yeah, no, I'm totally with you. Because Spirit often mention, that they will try to make every possible effort to communicate with mediums for the betterment of people. So because it was mentioned earlier, I made that statement that it is a natural thing coming through the gene pool, then somebody who is mediumistic, maybe have a bent, maybe working in that mediumistic field, but sort of put over, as you've mentioned, may not choose to take it further, develop it further, not necessarily go into a spiritualist circle, but communicating with your guide and, asking him or her, what is the meaning of life? What is this? What is that? How can you help me? How can I help you? How can we help people? And I feel that they just settle for things, and it could be that the guide is trying to say, well, perhaps you shouldn't do this, perhaps you could do that, this is coming, we want you to do this, we would like you to look into that, and it may just fall on deaf ears, or people might think, no, I'm better. They might be coming out of a place of hurt and not paying heed to what their guide is asking of them.
I think also as well is we all have different views as well. We all have different views, so one person's view is different to somebody else's. Now, I disagree with that person's view, or there's another medium as well spouting at the moment. But to me, it's things that they shouldn't be talking about within the forum that they have. They have the trust of people. Those people are following them for inspiration from spirit. They're not looking for retweets from right-wing media or their thoughts on what climate change is, or their thoughts on anything else. It's for them to actually have a bit of responsibility, and that's something, again, myself and you have talked about, is the responsibility of a medium. I mean, we've often talked that we're very much like counsellors in a way, that we get information from spirit, we pass this on to people who call us, who contact us, and we have to give them that information in the very best terms. And that doesn't mean changing it, but what it does mean is we cannot say, oh yeah, I've got your Uncle Jack here who was stabbed to death. You can't say things like that. You've got to have a responsibility of how you deliver any information to a person who's sitting. And I think even when you are not giving that reading, then a medium should be still having that responsibility. Yeah, we're all human, as you say. We all, people drink, people eat too much, people swear, people, that's fine. But I think it's when it steps out to that boundary. I think that steps out of the boundary of the remit of what a medium or psychic is.
Totally.
It's exactly like a TV presenter. If let's say a famous TV actor suddenly started tweeting and retweeting this, there'd be a real uproar. But yet a medium thinks that they can get away with it. And I think that comes back to the ego, what we were talking about before.
It is the ego, but I just feel it is lack of knowledge as well. Mentioning when you're in the mediumship thing, then one of the things that Spirit really sort of push forward or emphasize, push not as in you must. It's sort of, they can give you statements, they can give you info. You're thinking, wow, I found that interesting. And then we go off, we do Google searches, we do books, and we want to know more. I think some mediums think no, it is, and we've both worked with people. No mention of names, obviously. When it comes over, I know everything. It's the ego. I'm in charge. I do this. You do that. But they choose not to take the avenue of trying to better themselves, even if it's learning about somebody else's faith-based religion, whether it's looking at somebody else's point of view. Well, it's no, it's me. No, it's this. It's this. It's this. No, and there's no leeway. So I do feel, perhaps a person's personality can come and rub off, when it's a case of I know best. And I think mediums should be willing, and most are, to be honest, is listening to a different point of view and sort of thinking, okay, how do I feel about this? And then questioning it. If you can't question your beliefs or you can't take umbrage at them, then really are you in that right role? I do feel it's about questioning, continual growth, and being the best you can as a medium, not the best in the world, the best you can be for yourself, and therefore to help people more.
I know two mediums who I worked with over the last 20 years, and you worked with them as well, but one male, one female. The male one, straight away who I'm talking about.
Yes, of course.
That person, when I met them, were very gentle, very self-effacing, very quiet, kind of no ego at all, I felt. Over a period of 3 years, it just became too much, where if they were teaching people, their word was God. That was some of the feedback, that you were literally not allowed to question their teachings. What they said was actually, that was it. You couldn't question it, even if you had any questions about it, which to me is crazy. And secondly was the need to be more successful and to be more public visible. And I think there is what we've got, is what we said before, is confidence and ego can often take us out of our spiritual path. There's no doubt that this person was an excellent medium. They could relay messages from spirit, but it was purely their confidence that drove them into areas that they shouldn't have. And the second one is female. And again, very, very quiet lady, very, very good at what she did, very, very good at connecting with people. But again, the confidence and ego kicked in tremendously, that to me, it stepped her outside of what people liked about her, that they could talk to her, that they could contact her. And in the end, suddenly she was, I suppose, upsetting a lot of people with the things that she was saying to people. And it almost that she believed her own rubbish. And the stuff that she was saying was very upsetting for people. And in the end, both of these people, we stopped working with them. One of them isn't working anymore. But I think it's one of those things where we have to keep ourselves in check. And I think this is why we wanted to do this podcast, is we wanted to say to people that if you are a medium, do question your own I suppose.
No, it's right. One of the things that I liked about you when we first met is you sort of brought about a question mode, where I would think, oh yes, that must be right, that dreadful, awful topic about ORBSs, orbs. And you didn't say I was wrong. You just put it over. This is what however you look at this, it's a scientific blah 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 blah. I did just that. I was creating them myself. I was doing all of this. So to me, it was nonsense. So, and that is sort of re-emphasizing everything. It's very, very much about questioning one's belief. If somebody said to me, oh, there's this, and this, and I'm thinking, well, I don't know the answer, I would talk to my guide, and my guide would say, have a look at this. What about that point? I said, okay, thank you. And then I would ask people, I would go searching, I would go looking, I work with spirit, and then I would be able then to go back to them, give them a answer when I say this is one possible answer, and then hopefully they go off and search things. And that is one of the things that you put over to me, and you help build your confidence more. And I think that is what mediums should do, is be able to put that different approach.
I think that's why we get on, though, Ian. I think we're both the same. If somebody came up to me and said, look, this is wrong, this is this, I'd actually take it on board. I wouldn't. We both said, actually, and we both said this to each other, that we're not fixed in this is our belief, this is that. It's malleable. It
Yeah,
can
of
grow.
course.
It can grow, and
Has to be.
that's what we've said about this podcast. Is if we ever learned anything, or if we learned something new, if we learned some new ideas, or we'd be talking about it between ourselves and seeing how it works and how it
Yeah,
grows. And I think also as well is the fact that neither of us have really got an ego. We don't. It's hard to promote yourself, and
it is.
and what I would say is, as you're a medium, if you're looking at this going professionally, or if you're looking at other mediums and thinking, they're spouting again, I think you do really need to question why you are following them, and question firstly, why do their beliefs not fix with yours so well? I mean, obviously, if it's racism, then we know why.
Yeah.
Why doesn't it work so well with you? Meditate on the question, meditate and work out why it doesn't work with you. And then secondly, you have to question why that medium's doing that. And then you have to literally move on. So let's move on from that subject. Let's move on to another question, Ian.
Okay.
Why do mediums fake?
To be honest, I do feel this is very much. I mean, well, firstly, I would say it's very, very wrong. I don't condone it in any way, shape, or form. Part of it is confidence, and I'm not saying that's a your get out clause. I've worked with some mediums who do the, like at going over to a public event at a known haunted location, and they research the history because, again, they are not confident in being able to bring over what they themselves are hearing, seeing, or feeling, in case it's wrong, or what happens if this. So I do feel again, it is perhaps lack of quality in being able to communicate and fully communicate with your spirit guide or guides. There are the others that come over to think, mediumship is, it's your badge, it's a kudos, or I'm good. And then again, perhaps coming over with telling people this. We've all come with horror stories of people who said, this medium said this bad thing's going to happen to me. If you work ethically, if you work with your own conscience, if you work directly with the spirit side, you have a good link with your guide, you would never say things like so. So for me, you have those con artists, which, unfortunately are out there in all walks of life, I may add. And then it's purely confidence. It's lack of communication, lack of understanding of the mediumship process, how it can be sort of made better. And it's almost a case of, I have to succeed. I can't seem to be failing.
I totally agree with you. It's also a lack of responsibility. I mean, we saw mediums and ghost hunts, and 2 or 3 we know fake, and they promptly left, sometimes mid-event. They were asked to leave, which was difficult. But I think what I always felt was that the medium didn't have enough confidence in their own skills, and I mean they didn't trust their own skills enough. They didn't trust their own communication, contact links with spirit. So they resorted to trying to go for the most haunted route and try and, kind of make it all pizzazz. I know if we've got loads of physical activity, I'll throw some stones and stuff. I'll get booked again, or people will remember me. People will see me on Facebook and follow me on there. And that happened a lot, is that they really wanted to stand out from the other mediums. And then rather than trusting their link with spirit, they resorted to faking, throwing stones, kind of trying to cause tapping the feet, that sort of thing, or tapping other people. And those people who was caught out like that, they've all connected in that all of them have wanted to do theatre tours, have wanted to do, kind of the bigger thing. Straight away we saw it and shut it down. There's then also the people who fake, kind of doing cold reading, doing, I mean, that's just out and out fraud. There's frauds in every line of work. And I think, unfortunately, with mediumship, some people think, I can do card readings, or I can charge, for readings, and they're utter fakes. They just get by on earning the money and not bothered. And I always remember I once went to a psychic fair at Tutbury Castle in Staffordshire, and there was a lady there offering tarot card readings. And I thought, I'll have one. So I sat down, and she didn't know that I was actually the organizer of the fair. So I sat down and I said, this is great. I said she gave me a reading, and it was all right. It wasn't amazing. And I said, how long have you been doing tarot? She said, well, I've only just started doing it. I don't really believe in it. I just, I know, I remember what the words are and stuff, and just do it. And I just thought, you don't believe in it, but you're doing it. I said, so basically you're just doing it just to make money, really. And she said, well, yeah, I am. I said, well, that's fine. I said, but surely, it's good to actually get into what tarot's about, how it started, the symbology, what it means. And she said, oh, no, I don't have time for that. I just don't believe in it. I don't believe it can tell you your future or anything. And yet we were both sat there next to her sign that said, let me tell you your future for £10.
So, it is. It's. I used to be in the forces, and I left to do this role on a full-time period. And I have people, who used to work with come up to me saying, "Oh, is there all money in it?" And I was thinking, well, A, you're asking the wrong question, and B, you can't do it, so why are you even bothered? It's almost a case of, I can do that. I can put a badge on and tell people something. There was going down Facebook, a medium, is just being caught out sending similar letters to everybody. It's just almost like a set letter where they just put a different name on it, and that person just being caught out. But I'm thinking, why? Is it? It just seems to me it's just been, it's money, and it's one of these things where I do feel, in hindsight, she's been caught up in the I need to get more famous, I need the spotlight more. It doesn't sort of take away that she's done wrong, and she's culpable for everything that comes her way now.
I think they always become. I think due to circumstances, a lot of these mediums always become a cropper in the end. Anyway, there's something always happens in the end.
Yes.
And there's always the wrong terminology, but most people will know it as this. But it's always karma. It's always,
Well, it is. There is always a way, because spirit, as much as spirit really want to work with everybody that given the chance to work with as many people as they can who have a mediumistic trait ability, and then it comes over to the fact that they will equally be trying to discredit or get rid of in the best way possible, from a spiritual point, of people who were doing it as a con artist, man or woman,
Yeah.
And I just feel here, spirit have got a vested interest in people. You know what I mean? So that always shines through, and it should be the emphasis of mediums everywhere. They should be there wanting to be of betterment to people.
Going to end that podcast on that lovely statement that you've just said, Ian. Thank you, everybody. Hope you enjoyed that discussion. Myself and Ian felt that it was something that we really needed to talk about. We're not here to attack anybody else's beliefs or thoughts or anything like that. But it's something that we keep seeing people talking about, and we wanted to address that. So hope you enjoyed it, everybody. And thank you, Ian. And
thank you.
And catch us next time.